If they are coming from another world, they're probably making sure we don't blow ourselves up. They're probably realizing that we're at this convergence of the evolution of the biology and then science and technology and its abilities that far surpass like the speed that the biology evolves. Like the biology evolves very slowly relatively compared to these computers. The things that they're able to do, these spaceships and the flying cars, it's like we have so much ability now. 10 minutes of the craziest conspiracy theories from my show, brought to you by the Penthouse Theorists. You know, there's a crazy conspiracy theory connected to The Shining and the moon landing.
Yeah, I heard about the moon landing.
Yeah, it's all about the number on the doors, the exact same amount of thousands of miles, 237, and it's 237,000 miles away.
I heard
but also,
that,
by the way, it varies. See, that's the problem with that argument, is that like the distance between the Earth and the moon is not constant. I think it moves a little bit. So I think it goes as far as 265,000 feet out, if I'm or miles rather, 265,000 miles out, and it goes to 237. But I think it varies. I think it goes like this. I think it has like an elliptical orbit around the Earth a little bit. Maybe I made that up. Is that true?
Yeah, sounds accurate. Sorry, I was in the middle of reading the 237 stuff.
Yeah, I heard it was also possibly about Native Americans, how the hotel was built on an ancient Indian burial ground, and even Shelley Duvall sort of looked Native American. You could hear Native American music playing in the opening credits.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's many layers to it.
Yeah, he's just a brilliant man. He was a brilliant man.
The little kid did have an Apollo 11 sweatshirt on.
Yeah, that's true. He did have an Apollo 11.
I mean, that's pretty on the nose.
I just remember in the back room, in the stock room, there was like a can of a product with a giant. It was like Geronimo's head on there. I'm sure.
Dude, there's so much to that. There's probably many layers. I mean, Kubrick is not going to operate on one layer.
No,
he's probably going to have a bunch of weird shit in there.
I mean, look at 2001. What a mind fuck.
Oh my God. What a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Well, there was so much of his work. You know, and he's the guy that the conspiracy theorists, when they get the most crazy, when they really want to dive into who did it, they think it was all Kubrick. The Kubrick literally filmed the fake moon landing, uploaded it to the American TV satellites.
If anyone could do it, it'd be him. He'd be the guy I would get to do it.
Can you imagine if that was really what happened?
I've heard all
these years.
I remember hearing all the fucking conspiracy theorists about the Illuminati killing him because he made yeah.
Well, they were worried he was going to open his fucking mouth.
Well, he made
about the moon landing.
Oh, no.
That's what it was.
No, because he made
keep his fucking
eyes
mouth
wide shut.
There's a hole on his property, and he sees that like all his neighbors are throwing all kinds of crap into the hole, like old washing machines and all kinds of stuff. They're just using it as a dump. And so he starts doing the same thing. They're all just throwing stuff in the hole. And after a while, he wonders, why does this not fill up? It's very strange. So he goes over there, and he's just he can't see the bottom. He can't hear an echo. And he's out there investigating with his dog. And he's looking, and he looks, and his dog won't come close. Like his dog is like, will not come near the hole. And he looks up, and birds are flying around it.
Animals know before we
nothing
do.
wants to come near this hole. So he wants to figure out how deep this thing goes. And he's a fisherman, so he puts fishing line down there, and he's got 5,000 feet, and he doesn't hit bottom. He does another spool. He's got 10,000 feet. He ties lifesavers on the bottom of it to put it down there to see if they'll come dissolved. Maybe it's a well. 20,000 feet, 50,000, till he hits about 16 miles of line down, and he doesn't hit the bottom with it. So he
16 miles
16
of line.
miles of line. So
16 or 60?
16.
Jeez.
And he notices that his radios are acting weird. When he's out there working, he's listening to his radio, and when his radio is near the hole, he's picking up these strange things, like he's hearing old time music, which doesn't make sense. And then he tunes a little bit, and he catches a baseball game. He listens to that for a minute and realizes it's a game from 30 years ago. So something is affecting like time around the hole. So at this point, he calls into Art Bell at Coast to Coast. I don't know if you remember Art Bell in that show.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So he's telling Art this story about how weird this hole is. He talks about how one of his neighbors, his dog died, and he threw the dog down the hole. And the next day, he sees his dog running through the woods with his collar on, but he won't come. It's like he acts like he doesn't know him.
Russ said he threw his dog down the hole.
Like the
That's crazy.
hole is doing weird stuff in the area. So he talks to Art Bell a little bit about it. And then Art is trying to get in touch with him and can't. And then finally does. And Mel Waters says, I wish I never called you. He said, so I talked to you, and he was out of town for that interview. He said, I got back into town. I couldn't get on my property. He said there was heavy machinery there. There was military there. They wouldn't let me up. Some guy in plain clothes came down and said, you can't come in here. I said, why? This is my property. He said, there was a plane crash, so we have to investigate it. There's no evidence of the plane crash. There's no news. And Mel starts to get kind of upset. It's my property, my land. And then the guy in plain clothes says, I'm not saying we will, but we could find a drug factory or something on this land. I'm just, saying that could happen if you want to press this.
Yeah, can't
Mueller said, I'll go to the press. The guy's like, tell whoever you want. No one's going to believe you. And it gets run off his property.
Bring it down.
And you don't know if it's a hoax or not, but Art Bell talks to a news crew that goes to the property, and they find evidence of tractor tracks in the mud and evidence that there was a military presence there along with machinery. And it's still all blocked off. Mel is eventually contacted by some intelligence and offered a deal. $2 million, you leave the country, you never come back, and you lease us the property, sell us the property. You just never come back. So Mel goes overseas for a while. And this story on Art Bell is 10 years that he checks in. So Mel is overseas. He's in Australia. And it's something like his niece is graduating. So he wants to come back. He's not supposed to come back at all. But he decides to come back anyway. And he's taking a bus. He lands wherever, and he's taking a bus. And there's some type of issue where breaks out of the bus. There's a fight or something. The bus pulls over, and everyone gets off, but he's not allowed off. Like, they're holding him back. They get everyone off. A couple of guys kind of grab him. He feels like a pinch, and then he blacks out. And he wakes up 12 days later, and he's in San Francisco in an alley, and he doesn't know what's happened for the last 12 days. And he tastes blood in his mouth, and he realizes his back teeth are missing. Like, it's a crazy story. And he's telling all this to Art. And Art helps him, like, find a place to stay. And he says, Art, I just got contacted from native tribe and the people are called the Basque. I don't know if you know the Basque. It's a region between, like, France and Spain. It's a little area people call the Basque. It's a small community, but it's very unique. So a lot of Basques settled in Nevada in, like, the 19th century. So this native tribe is working with the Basque, and they call Mel, and they want him to come out because they found another hole. Story gets weirder from here. So he goes out to, like, consult with them about the hole. And that hole is different. Mel's hole was about 9 feet around, 9 feet wide with a stone retaining wall. This hole is 9 feet, but it's got this metal collar, and it's metal all the way down as far as the eye can see.
All right, so it's something I want to show you guys. I don't know if you ever heard of Devil's Tower in Wyoming, but there's a lot of people that say it's like a fossilized tree and this, that, and the other thing. But look at what this guy did. He shot an X-ray imager at this fossilized tree to see what the inside of it looks like. And look at what he came up with. I think this is some crazy shit. But look at this video and tell me what you guys think. Drop it in the comments.
I shot LiDAR AI photon protein fiber beams at Devil's Tower, and you are not going to believe what is inside it. It changes the whole history of not only America, but the world. Devil's Tower is in Wyoming, and it's a structural edge that's mysterious because I'm an Eagle Scout, and if you look at the rock formation edge, I don't think it's solid, and a lot of people are like, it's solid all the way through. So I, with my friend Dr. Remy Demi, shot the world's best, this is it right here, photon protein fiber beam AI LiDAR technology directly at Devil's Tower, and this is the imagery it gave back. there are chambers inside the base of the Devil's Tower you can see a passageway right there. Here's another angle of it, of another view. And it's just insane. It's blowing our minds. We don't know if this is a Native American chamber, if it's an alien chamber. So now we're trying to get access to that passageway. We know the door is amongst about right there, but we are trying to get permits so we can dig down and access the door and go into the chambers. I'll keep you updated. Follow me and I'll keep you updated on what we find. We hope to get the permits next week. And I'm just super excited to go in and see what.
This is not.
I don't know how true that is, but if that's some real stuff, bro, that's crazy for real. That's definitely crazy for sure. But you know, you can't trust everything you see on the internet. So
Just old footage. Something about this video is seriously wrong. People say this was found in a collection of early recordings, completely unedited, just raw footage. At first it looks normal, just black and white clips of people, but then you start noticing it. Their faces, the way they move, doesn't feel human. Their expressions stretch too far, like their skin doesn't have limits. Their smiles feel forced, unnatural, almost like they're learning how to act human. And the scariest part, they don't react to it at all. No pain, no hesitation, just normal to them. Some clips show their faces shifting in ways no real person can control, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. People online are convinced this isn't just old footage. They think something else is in these videos, something pretending to be human, and for a split second it slips.
In the CIA during 9/11.
Oh yeah.
What year did you end up leaving the CIA?
2004.
So you were in the CIA during 9/11.
Oh yeah.
Do you have anything you can tell us about that?
Probably a lot I can tell you about that.
Anything like new? Any new info?
No, it's pretty
better be careful what you say about it.
much all out there.
Really?
Pretty much.
You believe it was an inside job?
No,
No.
I don't.
It was a terrorist attack from Al-Qaeda?
Yes.
No Jewish?
No, but
I spoke to Andrew Bustamante, the
Yeah.
leader of the CIA, former leader.
oh yes.
And he told me
I'm
that it was
sure
the
he thinks
Jewish.
he was.
Yeah.
No, I think that the Israelis knew it was coming and didn't warn us because they knew that if we were attacked, we would end up doing what they wanted and just go around the world kill Muslims, which is exactly what happened. When we captured Abu Zubaydah, we also captured his diary. And in his diary, he had the personal cell phone numbers of 3 Saudi princes. So we went to the Saudis very angrily and said, you better do something about this. And the next thing you know, one prince dies in a one-car accident on the Riyadh to Jeddah highway. One prince...
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, well, one prince goes in for stomach surgery and dies on the operating table. And one prince goes into the desert to go camping and dies of thirst.
That makes sense. I mean, he's in the desert.
I actually met someone who worked at the CIA, and I asked him the question. I said, yo, it wasn't me, it was a friend of mine asked it while we were there. He said, how many conspiracy theories are true? And the guy laughed and he said, obviously I can't say anything to you, but he said, but I will tell you this. Oftentimes at the agency, we would be grateful. This was a really interesting phrase. He said, we would be grateful at how crazy conspiracy theorists were, because half the time they were correct, but half the time their conspiracies were so crazy that we never needed to like step in and balance. And it was this interesting concept to me where I went like, whoa. Wait, so half the things you think
are crazy.
Whatever you are, whoever you are in your world, half the things that you think are crazy are probably true.
Yes.
And then half the things that you think are true are probably crazy. The difficulty is we'll just never know.
Do you know what the CIA's very first mission ever in its history was? On December 14th, 1947, the National Security Council issued its first top-secret orders to the CIA. The CIA set out to beat the Reds in the Italian word TikTok doesn't allow, set for April 1948. And yes, let's just all admire the irony of how in a democracy in America, we can't use that word in our media or else we'll get censored. That's great. But back then, the CIA didn't really have an official budget and they didn't have a bunch of money. They just had a bunch of friends. So James Forrestal and his good friend Alan Dulles solicited their friends and colleagues from Wall Street and Washington, business people, bankers, and politicians. But it was never enough. So the CIA's first mission ever was to overthrow a government and fix a word I can't say. And to do it, they used money that came from all of their business people, friends, bankers, etc. But they needed more money too, so he convinced Snyder to tap into the Exchange Stabilization Fund set up in the Depression to shore up the value of the dollar. Because who needs to do that anyways? The fund held $200 million that was earmarked for the reconstruction of Europe. And they funneled it into the bank accounts of a bunch of wealthy American citizens, a lot of them Italian Americans. One can only imagine what other organizations all these Italian Americans might have been a part of. They even told the donors to place a special code on their income tax forms alongside their charitable donation, so their CIA donations to help control a government over there was tax deductible. Quote, passing black bags to effect a political injection is not really a terribly attractive thing. No shit, but it worked. Italy's Christian Democrats won by a comfortable margin and formed a government that excluded communists. Good job, CIA. But don't worry, they just did it that one time. They would never do that in modern times. Except for when they did it in Japan, and Guatemala, and Iran, and Indonesia, and Vietnam, and Laos, and Nicaragua, and Panama, and Chile. I mean, I guess they've done it a few times, but they don't do it anymore. Like, certainly, they wouldn't do it in any of these modern governments. But anyways, this book, it's a really good book. This has been my bedtime reading lately. It's called Legacy of Ashes. And Tim worked for the New York Times for a long time, so he's reporting like a mainstream take. But the reason why this is valuable, despite being a mainstream take, like for example, he doesn't acknowledge who actually did the thing to JFK, and he doesn't acknowledge a lot of other things that aren't like publicly disclosed. But what's so great about the book is he has personally dug through probably the most extensive compilation of primary sources of almost anyone about the CIA. This is the text of the book that's like 500 or 600 pages, and then it has 170 pages of primary sources. Okay, technically it's only this many pages because the back is an index, but all of this is him citing his sources. That's insane. And even though he misses all of the things that are horrible about the CIA that were never publicly disclosed, that we only know about because of like leaks or theories, it's still a really valuable book to like read between the lines. Transcripts from the president's office when they're ordering these like operations that weren't supposed to happen. He digs through all of the different congressional hearings. It just like gets you really inside information on what actually happened. And what actually happened is the CIA was basically set up to overthrow governments, and that's basically what they've been doing ever since. And when I started this channel, I didn't plan to talk about the CIA at all because, like, why would you? I thought we were going to be talking about money and the stock market all the time. But, like, if you want to understand how money and the stock market or government or world events works, you kind of need to know about the people that are professionals at controlling the world. So that's all for today. I know I've been off of here for a while. Having internet problems, doing a bunch of remodeling and figuring out my new platforms and new tech. Things are going great. I'm happy. I'm healthy. Don't intend to have any accidents related to water or anything like that anytime soon. And this coming month, I'm going to be on the short form platforms a lot more because I know I've been missing you guys too. Drink your water. I'll see you soon.
Wait a minute. There's no way this is right. In this
Yeah, sometimes you got to be careful of the stuff you say. Watch your words, you feel me? That get you in trouble, but, you know, always learn to talk in code. Let's go.
classic 90s Britney Spears music video, Hit Me Baby One More Time, her skirt was plaid, right? Wait, what? No, there's no way. And while we're on Britney Spears, she had a microphone in this video, didn't she? Like the one that attaches? Where did that go? Oh, you're saying she never had it? Well, then why did Lizzie McGuire have one when she parodied the video? And why did the doll have it? And do you remember Snuffy, Big Bird's companion from Sesame Street? Do you remember his full name? Snuffleupagus, right? Wrong, it was apparently Snuffleupagus. And do you remember Tweedledee and Tweedledum from Alice in Wonderland? And the little propellers on their hats, right? Wrong, they were apparently flags. And you remember the Disney theme opening where Tinkerbell flies in and dots the I? I guess Disney says that actually never happened. My guess is maybe we're confusing it with this one. Let me know which ones you remember.
Things humans weren't meant to see.
No, that's crazy though.
A man traveled to Egypt and placed a remote-controlled car inside one of the pyramids. The original poster claimed to have found something the government would want to keep a secret. He also wanted to be paid $5 million for the rest of the footage to be revealed, but it never did. As it gets deeper, it shows what appears to be a tall figure inside the chambers.
If you think time travel's impossible,
What y'all think about that? Y'all think that was real or what, man? All right, let me know in the comments.
here's some stories that might change your mind. First up, Stephen Hawking's time traveler party. In 2009, Stephen Hawking secretly held a party for time travelers, but he didn't announce it until after the party happened. The idea being that if time travelers from the future were real and they knew that the party happened historically, they could still show up. But no one did, or at least no one that we know of. Next up is the time-traveling hipster from 1943. This comes from an old photo that appears to show a man dressed suspiciously modern for the era. He's wearing sunglasses, a casual printed shirt, and what some people claim looks like a small modern camera. Skeptics say that everything he's wearing did exist at the time, but the image itself...
We already found out some of these time travel little pictures was fake off the back. Some people, you know, still using them for whatever use they're using them for, but we don't found out that a lot of those was fake.
Still feels like someone accidentally wandered into the wrong decade. Madman Mike Markham. In the 1990s, Markham became famous on Coast to Coast AM after claiming that he was working on building a homemade time machine using high-voltage electrical equipment, something called a Jacob's Ladder. The story went that he started experimenting with this and putting objects through this electrical field, and they disappeared entirely, but then would reappear later. He had the goal of putting himself through this field, walking through, and said that the only thing that he'd take with him was a cell phone. However, in 1997, Mike and his work disappeared from public view. As it turns out, there was a cold case in the 1930s where a barrel washed up on shore and there was an unidentified body in it. And the only thing with the body was a small device that could only be described as a modern 1990s era cell phone. Many people thought that this may have been Madman Mike Markham, who had time traveled to the past and somehow wound up in that barrel. But as it turns out, Mike Markham is still alive.
So back in 2012, there was a girl by the name of Bridget Devenio, hopefully I said that right, made a discovery that all the US presidents except for one are related, are all descendants of King John of England, who died in the year 1216. Originally started off as a class project of her trying to find out her own family tree. Later on found out how all the US presidents are connected but one. What I said about him right here is actually starting to make a lot more sense. Let's check out this interview.
Salinas, who claims to have made a major discovery about President Obama. She and her grandfather say that President Obama is related to all but one U.S. president. We get more tonight from Action News reporter Felix Cortez, who's live in our Salinas newsroom.
Well, Dan, the youngster spent the summer, really all summer, tracing the family tree of our presidents. Her conclusion that all the presidents, with the exception of one, share the same grandfather.
Well, first we start off with George Washington at the top, and then it goes to John Adams, Thomas Jefferson.
11-year-old Bridget Devenio says she's made a first-of-its-kind discovery that President Obama and all the presidents before him, with the exception of one, are related and descendants of a former king of England.
No, they're all cousins, and
see.
they're grandsons of John Lackland.
Devenio says she spent countless hours on the internet over the summer researching the lineage of our presidents, a project that started with her trying to trace her own family tree.
But I'm the first historian to do all the presidents. I'm very glad I got this done, and I think it will turn out to be a success.
Her biggest supporter and firm believer that Obama is a descendant of a former king of England is no doubt her mother.
If you have a child, and they 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 have a child,
Life names change.
all she's saying is this guy is the great, 25th, 27th, depending on what line it is. He created all this family. So do I believe it? Yes. It's hard, but it's true.
So you telling me 1 billion people might not exist?
Hey, never know.
So there's a viral
It
video
could
going
be
around
true.
right now where a lady is talking about China population that
That's why you
everybody
gotta
think
do
they
your
have,
own
that's
research.
in the billions, is a lie. She said the real number is not 1.4 billion. She says closer to 400 to 500 million. And if you ask me, that shit is wild. Look at this shit.
You are ready for the number?
Yes.
At one point, I projected under 400 million.
What?
500 million. Under 500 million.
Under 500 million.
Mm-hmm.
So you think that they have a very similar population to the United States and China?
Yes. There's 1 billion people missing.
And this goes back to what we were saying in the beginning or earlier in the podcast with all of the fake IDs and all of this stuff being found out.
Yeah, there's possibly 1 billion people missing.
1 billion people missing is a crazy statement. Some people even was talking about them having ghost cities and even schools being closed down because it's not enough people. You got some people over there like, if we had 1.4 billion people, where they at? And here's where it get weird, y'all, because they're saying certain shit don't add up, like the electrical bill or the food usage. If you had 1.4 billion people, why is it not adding up to how much food is being bought or ate or the electricity? Something ain't right, y'all. It ain't adding up. So my question is, do y'all think they're lying? And if they are lying, why are they lying about this? And what happened to everybody?
What's the craziest thing you've concocted? Your imagination or your
Oh,
schizophrenia?
man. The craziest thing that's concocted?
I mean, you've already mentioned a few that are
Probably that I'm God.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's probably the craziest one. But apparently, God and the devil are the same incarnation, just at different lifetimes, depending on how much the people, the people are actually the psychics. This is the main collective psychic group. They control who is who, what numbers you get issued, what names you'll get issued, stuff like that. And they're like, you're God, dude. You're obviously God. Every time I go to the beach, when I look at nature, if I'm walking on the street, if I look at nature, the message is very clear. Throw them in the ocean. Just throw them in the ocean. And then when I go to the ocean, they're like, you're God. You have to do these things. And you'll have magic, and you'll get food, and you'll have everything you want. But you're going to have to be homeless because you're also the devil. I'm not really worried about them killing me.
So when you're sharing these stories about the Illuminati and all these other crazy things,
Yeah.
do you understand that they're kind of crazy, or do you believe them?
I don't know. I like to think that it's just crazy shit, that it's just schizophrenia. There's nothing I can really do about it. But then sometimes something will happen, like somebody will just pop up and say one word at just the right time that means that it's all real. And then what I'm hearing, I'll be standing next to somebody and I'll hear a voice on the wind of this woman I talked to from another dimension, who's like my soulmate. But we live on different worlds. So we have to keep dying and trying to come back on the same world just so we can be together. And I will hear her on the wind, especially when I'm like eating or smoking weed, because in this universe, she's weed basically. And when I eat it, I'm eating her. And when I smoke it, I'm burning her. So it's always bad. But the high is like my favorite high. I prefer weed over crystal any day.
What's up, chat? Chat. He says he can switch people out.
I don't know. I don't know what to
And
say
he
about
does
all
it
that.
right in front of them. And he says, like, yo, bro, like, I'll switch your wife out and I'll put another one of your wife inside of her body. And they're walking around and you think that's your wife and it's not your wife. This is what's going on. It's no longer, like I said, it's no longer spiritual. We figured out how to, turn into spirit and exchange the soul in order to control the vessel. So if I have the vessel and I'm just nothing but spirit, I can ruin your life. That's what everybody has been going through. So they can't recognize it unless you say things like the switch. So when they watch that and they see that there's other people that can identify other than me, it's not just me playing games. It's the truth.
5 conspiracy theories. 5 times the documents came out. Number 5, MK Ultra. The CIA ran a covert mind control program on American and Canadian citizens without their consent. LSD. sensory deprivation, hypnosis, electroshock, involuntary experiments on mental patients, prisoners, and soldiers, officially denied for decades. Confirmed in 1977 when Senate hearings forced the CIA to produce surviving documents. The director had ordered most of the files destroyed in 1973. Number 4. COINTELPRO. The FBI ran a domestic surveillance and disruption program targeting civil rights leaders, political activists, and anti-war groups. They infiltrated organizations, forged letters, arranged false arrests, and provoked internal conflicts. Officially a conspiracy theory, until activists broke into an FBI field office in 1971 and stole the documents. The program was confirmed. Congress launched investigations. The files were eventually released. Number 3, Operation Paperclip. After World War II, the US government secretly imported over 1,600 scientists from Nazi Germany. Rocket engineers, aerospace researchers, chemical weapons specialists. The operation was classified. The scientists were given new identities. Many helped build NASA. Number 2, Operation High Jump. In 1947, 4,700 US troops, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft were sent to Antarctica on what the Navy called a training exercise. They left after 8 weeks instead of 8 months. Officially, weather. The classified debrief. Something they weren't expecting. Number 1, Project Stargate. The CIA funded remote viewing. Psychics used to gather intelligence. For 24 years. Declassified in 1995. The program produced intelligence used in real operations. The final review said it was, quote, statistically significant. 5 programs. 5 times they said that's a conspiracy theory. 5 times the documents came out.
You've probably heard the theory that a secret group of rich and powerful men control the world, that they meet in private to decide wars, pick presidents, and shape major events. Most people brushed off this conspiracy theory as nonsense, but it turns out there's some truth to it. There's a forest in Northern California where powerful men really do meet in secret. Those men are members of the Bohemian Club. The club was formed in 1872 in San Francisco. At first, it was just a few dozen men talking about art, but over time, the club began to change. Businessmen, lawyers, and politicians joined. Within a few decades, the Bohemian Club was no longer mainly about creativity. It was about power. In the 1890s, the club built a private camp deep in the California redwoods. They called it Bohemian Grove. Every summer, members traveled there for a 2-week retreat. As the years passed, the guest list became more impressive. Multiple US presidents attended, but as the Grove got more powerful, it also became more exclusive and secretive.
You don't ask to join, they ask you. The whole thing is about excluding certain people, and other people get to go to this fancy retreat.
No one was allowed to take photographs. Journalists were banned from entering. Members followed one strict rule. What happened at Bohemian Grove stayed at Bohemian Grove.
Hey, man, right back to it. Let's go. Roll after dark, man. Until next time, stay locked in. Do your own research. Tell me what you found. Let's go.